Hi, my name's Rob McDonald, otherwise known as R.W.R McDonald. I'm a Kiwi living in Melbourne with my two daughters and a Rambo family. All my family are in the South Island, so I grew up on a farm in South Otago, which is where the Nancys is set. So the cat you can see in the background is Harry cat. So he'll be cruising around in the background. This is the book, The Nancys. It's a small town amateur detective murder mystery set in a fictitious town of Riverstone in South Otago, which may look a lot like Balcliffe. I'm going to read from the back, the blurb about the book. Tippy Chan is 11 and lives in a small town in a very quiet part of the world. The place her Uncle Pike escaped from, first chance he got as a teenager. Now Pike is back with his new boyfriend Devon to look after Tippy while her mum is on a cruise. Tippy is in love with her Uncle Pike's old Nancys R.W.R books, especially the early ones where Nancy was 16 and did whatever she wanted. Tippy wants to be Nancy and is desperate to solve a real mystery. When her teacher's body is found beside Riverstone's only traffic light, Tippy's moment has arrived. She and her mind has formed the Nancys, a secret amateur detective club. But what starts as a bonding and sightseeing adventure quickly morphs into something far more dangerous. A wrongful arrest, a close call with the murderer, and an intervention from Tippy's mum all conspire against the Nancys. But regardless of their own safety, and despite the constant distraction of questionable fashion choices in the town that style forgot, the Nancys know only they can stop the killer from striking again. The Nancys is gripping and glorious, a heartwarming novel for anyone who's ever felt they were on the outside looking in. At its heart, it is about the family we make and how we must summon the courage to face the truth, no matter what the cost may be. So there you have it, The Nancys. Writing influences. So I was a voracious reader when I was a kid. As soon as I could learn how to read, I read pretty much anything and everything. Growing up on a farm, my mum was part of a book club, so it was kind of anything that I could get my hands on. And obviously the school library was a huge resource for me. I have very, very fond memories of the school library, and I would always have books and would take home multiple books and fly through them. I see that with my eldest daughter now. She is a voracious reader as well, which is exciting. And my youngest, she enjoys reading too. There are a couple of ones. I mean, obviously, we're Nancys R.W.R. But when I was a teenager, Kiss Kiss by Roald Dahl was the first time I'd grown up with Roald Dahl, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and John It's Peach, but this was the first time I could see a writer do something which was quite dark and funny, but also within that idea that a writer doesn't have to be one thing, that they can be a cross. So that was big for me as a writer. Virginia Woolf, To the Lighthouse. I studied this at Otago University, and the stream of consciousness and what she did there, Virginia Woolf, was, that blew my mind. Inside your character and to tell a story through that was, it was fundamental for me as a writer. Cormac McCarthy, The Road. That was another another big one for me in terms of, just this writing, this absence of hope, it just took my breath away. A couple of the others, when I was a kid, Margaret Mahy, I mean, she was incredible. All the way through to Hunter S. Thompson, Sylvia Plath, Whittier Myra. The list goes on, really, really wide and varied, and still to this day I like reading across genre. Currently on the go is Edmund White, but on the top shelf there is my to be read. Yeah, it's get out there and read, I would say. How do I feel about being a finalist? When I saw the news that I was a finalist for Best First Novel and Best Novel, I was completely blown away, incredibly humbled, and just dream come true, really. It was very, very exciting. Now to be part of the Ngaio Marsh Awards family, and just really excited for the Nancys to be part of this fantastic Kiwi tradition. Very, very grateful and still getting my head around it, but absolutely blown away and incredibly grateful. For my reading, I have something I prepared earlier for the hashtag New Zealand Writers Read. This was a hashtag that was set up earlier on in the year when New Zealand had its first lockdown. So enjoy. Thanks. The narrator is an 11-year-old girl called Tippy Chan, and her babysitters, which is her uncle who has come over from Sydney, and his boyfriend, comforting Tippy. There's just been a murder in her small town, and her mum is away on a overseas cruise. Devon tried calling Mum on the tablet a couple of times, but she wasn't answering. I dug my fingernails into my palm. She wouldn't be home for another 10 days. Uncle Pike took my hand. She's probably playing shuffleboard. What's that? I said with a shuddery breath, relieved to have a different subject to focus on when my head was feeling all woolly again. I have no idea. They just used to say it a lot on the Love Boat. What's that? Devon and I asked. My uncle sighed and poured a large whiskey. It was a TV program where sad people filed onto a boat and found love. I wiped my eyes with the palm of my hand. Do you think Mum will find a husband? Shit, no, my uncle said. Sorry, honey, no. Devon looked at Uncle Pike. But we hope she finds something that will make her happy. What makes you happy, Tippy? I sniffed. My mind went blank and it was impossible to think. Reading? Right, Devon said. So we hope your mum finds a good hard book to read on her holiday that she really enjoys and reads a lot. And then at the end of her holiday, she leaves that book behind. She needs a good read, my uncle said. Definitely, but we don't want her bringing that book home. Why not? I asked, pulling down my sleeve and dabbing my nose. Books on holiday can be very different when you're back home, Uncle Pike said. And most likely your mum won't like the book as much. Or the book may belong to someone else, like a library, and it just gets complicated. Your mum doesn't need complicated right now. I nodded. I hope she gets to read lots and lots of books. That's the spirit, my uncle said, like she did when she was a teenager. Really? Devon said. Interesting. Yes, she was an avid reader. My uncle switched off the TV and we sat there in silence for a moment. Do you want to talk about it? Uncle Pike said. I didn't know what to say. I haven't seen you guys reading, I said, my voice croaky. I meant your teacher, he said, nudging me. I kept staring at the blank TV, rubbing my hands on the couch. All I wanted to ask was, why one shoe? What did that mean? We do that when you're in bed, honey, Devon said to me. Uncle Pike smiled. Yes, lots. Nothing like a holiday read. To be fair, I'd probably like to read more than your uncle. Really? I thought we were on the same page. Devon jumped up and ruffled Uncle Pike's hair. Sure. So that's the Nancys R.W.R McDonald, and it is available on ebook, which will have a link down below. Stay safe.